podcast where truth moves faster than a Holstein calf. No waiting on some pretty page. We're charting new ground in the digital age. From genomic codes to row-wide facts, we cut through the noise, no holding back. Not your daddy's dairy news tonight. We're sparking debates with every insight. The ring's not where the real fight's at. It's in the data, in the channel chat. From pasture to processor to your morning cup, we're raising the stakes. Try and get ahead of herd. Yeah! Where the future's more than just a word. Ahead of herd. Come on! The bovine's calling, let your voice be heard.
Welcome back to the Bovine Podcast, where we cut through dairy industry noise to get you the insights that actually matter for your operation.
And today, we're diving deep into a feature piece that's been generating some serious buzz. This one's got layers and some surprises that are going to make farmers rethink how they've been approaching mastitis, especially those chronic, head-scratching cases.
Yeah, those really tough ones.
We're talking about a completely different way to tackle this beast.
Absolutely. Today's deep dive is all about those persistent mastitis cases. You know the ones, the cows that just keep cycling back through the hospital pen. We're going to explore why our traditional methods are often falling short.
Falling way short sometimes.
Right. And then, crucially, introduce you to an innovative solution that shifts our focus entirely from just trying to kill bacteria.
Which often doesn't work long term.
To understanding how they communicate.
Yeah.
It's a groundbreaking approach that promises not just better cow health, but some truly significant operational shifts for your dairy.
And that could mean putting thousands of dollars back into your pocket.
Exactly. And that's what every farmer wants to hear.
Let's set the stage, because I know every one of our listeners has lived this scenario. You've got that high-producing Holstein in the third pen, right?
Yep. Good cow.
You give her a tube. She seems to clear up nice. Milk comes back clean on the culture, maybe.
Looks good on paper.
And then 3 weeks later, boom, she's back in the hospital pen. Same quarter, hot and hard.
Ugh, it's so frustrating. It feels like bad luck, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like you're cursed with a string of repeat offenders.
It truly does feel like that. But what we're learning, thanks to some cutting-edge research, is that it's often not bad luck at all.
So something else.
The systemic problem, really. A fundamental misunderstanding of how these mastitis-causing bacteria operate.
And that misunderstanding is costing dairies a fortune globally.
Mm-hmm.
And right there on your farm.
That gut-wrenching feeling isn't just frustration. It's a symptom of an underlying issue that traditional treatments often miss entirely.
Every farmer listening knows that feeling. You think you fixed it, you've invested the time, the medicine, the labor.
You do everything right, you follow the protocol.
And then you see her limping back, or that somatic cell count just goes through the roof again.
You feel like you're constantly fighting a losing battle.
And the numbers back up that gut feeling, unfortunately. We're talking about immense financial drain globally.
What are the numbers? They're huge, right?
The dairy industry as a whole is bleeding somewhere between, get this, $19.7 billion and $32 billion annually, just from mastitis.
Billion, with a B. That's staggering.
It really is. To put that into perspective for an individual operation, let's take a typical, say, 200-cow dairy.
Okay.
If you factor in all the direct and indirect costs, that operation could be losing anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 a year just on mastitis-related expenses.
$15,000 to $20,000, that's not theoretical money, that's real cash.
Real cash that can be reinvested in your farm, your family, or simply improving your bottom line. It's a constant drain that silently erodes profitability.
And the cost isn't just the first treatment tube, is it? That's just the start.
Not even close. It's the cascade effect. It's the cycle of repeat offenders, the discarded milk.
Huge cost there.
The extra labor involved in separation and retreatment, the increased risk of culling a perfectly good cow prematurely.
A cow you've invested a lot in.
And the long-term impact on her productivity. It's death by 1,000 cuts, financially speaking.
You've hit on something crucial there. But here's the controversial bit, the idea we're really digging into today.
Okay, lay it on us.
What if we've been fighting the wrong battle entirely?
How so?
What if the problem isn't just killing bacteria, but how they talk to each other?
How bacteria talk, like communication.
Yeah. What if our focus on stronger antibiotics is missing the entire point of how these bugs organize and actually attack?
Wait. You're telling me that all those years we've been throwing everything we've got at these infections? The actual secret might be in bacterial gossip.
Kind of, yeah. It sounds wild, but honestly, given how stubborn some of these cases are, it also makes a twisted kind of sense, doesn't it?
It does. Because everyone's saying you need a stronger antibiotic, a new combination, hit it harder.
Right, that's the standard advice.
But what if that's actually missing the entire point?
Exactly. What if the key is not to kill them outright, but to disarm them, to mess with their communication?
Okay, tell me more.
We're going to explore this revolutionary idea of jamming bacterial communication instead of just trying to obliterate them.
Jamming their signals, like electronic warfare.
Pretty much. It's a concept that's leading to dramatic reductions in hospital pen days, cutting them in half, even more on some operations.
Really? Half?
Yeah. And improving cow longevity by months.
Wow.
It's a completely different way of thinking about disease management, and it's truly changing the game for farmers who are adopting it.
Okay, let's unpack this. We've all seen those repeat offenders, the cows that just don't seem to clear up no matter what you do.
The ones that make you want to pull your hair out.
The core issue, and this is where it gets really interesting, is that these bugs, they often never actually left.
They didn't leave, so they're not getting reinfected from outside.
Often not. The problem is internal and persistent. So what's really going on inside that udder that makes these infections so incredibly stubborn?
Well, it all comes down to something called biofilms.
Biofilms, okay.
Recent work from places like the Veterinary Journal and other, peer-reviewed sources has shed a profound light on this.
What is it showing?
It shows that mastitis bacteria don't just float around in the udder like single cells waiting for us to zap them with an antibiotic. Oh, no.
They're more organized than that.
They're much smarter and far more sophisticated than we previously gave them credit for. They organize, they strategize, and they build these incredibly resilient structures, the biofilms.
Hold on a second. So for the farmer listening, you're telling me that all those times I thought I cleared a cow up, the bacteria weren't gone.
Not necessarily gone, no.
They were just hiding, like ninjas, waiting for a chance to strike again.
Exactly. Or maybe not even hiding, but fortifying. This is a crucial point, and it explains so much of that frustration we just talked about.
I pictured them as individual invaders, not a whole army building a fortress.
Exactly. Think of biofilms like sophisticated living bunkers. They're constructed by the bacteria using their own slime.
That's slime bunkers, okay.
They secrete this sticky matrix of sugars, proteins, and DNA, almost like self-made concrete, to form a protective shield around themselves.
So it's like a bacterial city wall.
Yeah, instead of individual soldiers scattered on a battlefield, it's a community of bacteria building a fortified city, complete with defensive walls, communication networks, even like waste disposal systems.
Wow. Oh. So we're not just fighting individual cells, we're fighting an organized, fortified resistance movement inside the cow.
That's a great way to put it.
And these living bunkers are incredibly effective, right? That's why the antibiotics aren't working as well as we'd like.
Precisely. The science shows that biofilms can make bacteria anywhere from 100 up to a staggering 1,000 times harder to knock down with traditional antibiotics.
1,000 times.
Compared to free-floating bacteria, yes. 1,000 times harder to kill.
So we're essentially shooting at an enemy that's dug into a concrete bunker.
With a BB gun, sometimes.
And our bullets just can't penetrate those defenses effectively.
Exactly. That's why those antibiotics often fail to completely eradicate the infection, leading to those chronic, recurring issues that just drain your resources.
That's a game changer. It means all those times I thought I was clearing an infection, the bacteria were simply hunkering down.
Right now, the storm.
Letting the antibiotic pass, and then reemerging when the coast was clear. That explains why those high SCC cows keep coming back week after week.
It's not reinfection, it's a hidden stronghold reasserting itself.
That's exactly right. Dr. Johanna Fink-Gremmels from Utrecht University puts it so clearly. She says biofilms are the language bacteria use to coordinate their metabolic and gene expression status.
Okay, translate that for me, the language they use.
What she means, in plain terms, is that these bugs are actively communicating with each other. They're using complex chemical signals.
Like sending texts back and forth.
Kind of. To decide when to hunker down and protect themselves, and when to launch a coordinated attack. They're organizing.
They're not just passive invaders, they're strategists.
Working together to turn on their defenses, build their fortresses, and launch their assaults, all based on a coordinated plan.
This fundamentally changes our understanding of persistent mastitis, doesn't it?
Completely. It moves us away from the simple idea of reinfection, like a cow just picking up a new bug from the environment.
Which still happens, of course.
Of course. But for these chronic cases, it points to a much more complex, internal and persistent problem.
And for large freestall dairies where you have thousands of cows and potential exposure points, this means those chronic high SCC cows aren't just unlucky.
No, they're housing these hidden strongholds that resist conventional efforts.
And it's not just big dairies, right? For smaller tie stall operations.
Same problem, different scale. For those farms where individual cow attention might be higher, it means the frustration of seeing the same cow get treated repeatedly without a lasting solution.
It's rooted in this biofilm problem, not a lack of effort on the farmer's part.
Exactly. It's a management headache that impacts everyone, regardless of farm size, and it explains why the traditional hit-it-harder approach often fails.
Okay. So if trying to kill every bacterium is like trying to bomb a bunker from the outside and failing, what if we just cut their phone lines instead?
Cut their line.
What if we could prevent them from ever coordinating their attack in the first place?
That's precisely where the innovative solution comes in. Quorum sensing inhibition.
Quorum sensing inhibition, okay.
Instead of that kill everything that moves approach, which, as we just discussed, often fails against biofilms.
Right.
QSI essentially cuts their phone lines. It jams the communication signals bacteria use to coordinate those attacks and build those resilient biofilms.
Think of it as electronic warfare against bacteria.
Okay, now that sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but it makes a twisted kind of sense.
But here's what they're not telling you in all those traditional treatment discussions, that traditional antibiotics don't account for this bacterial language at all.
Right, they're not designed for that.
They're designed to kill, not to disrupt communication.
That's the key distinction. The science behind quorum sensing is actually pretty well established. There are papers in the Annual Review of Microbiology detailing how bacteria use these chemical signals.
What are they called?
They're called autoinducers, tiny chemical messages they send out to count their population.
Count their population? How?
Imagine a microscopic game of telephone. Each bacterium releases a little chemical ping. When enough of these pings are detected.
Meaning there's a big enough crowd.
Exactly. Indicating a high enough population density, what scientists call a quorum. That's their signal to launch a coordinated, full-scale attack.
Ah, okay. So quorum, like in a meeting, you need enough members present to act?
Precisely. Once they reach quorum, they start producing toxins and really causing disease.
So these autoinducers are like secret passwords or chemical flags they send out.
I like that, yeah.
And they use these to make sure they've got enough strength in numbers before they go on the offensive. That's incredibly strategic for something so small.
It is. And it gets even more specific. Take S. aureus, a notoriously common and troublesome mastitis culprit.
Oh, yeah. Everyone fights Staph aureus.
It uses something called the Agri system. Think of it as a bacterial roll call or a master genetic switch.
A roll call, okay.
When enough S. aureus bacteria sense each other through this Agri system, it triggers them to start producing toxins.
The nasty stuff that damages udder tissue.
Exactly. And to form those protective biofilms, it's like they're saying, okay, we've got enough troops, activate attack mode.
That's fascinating. So it's not just random, it's a programmed response based on population density.
But here's where it gets really mind-blowing. E. coli. Another common mastitis pathogen.
Also a big problem, especially around calving.
It has an even sneakier system.
Yeah.
It actually reads the cow's stress hormones.
Reads the cow's hormones.
And uses those as a green light to attack.
Wait, back up. Are you telling me the bacteria are basically spying on our cows?
Kind of.
And using their stress against them? Like, my cow has a bad day, maybe calving stress, heat stress, and the E. coli sees that as an invitation to party.
That's essentially it.
That sounds completely wild, but it makes a twisted kind of sense when you think about how stress impacts immunity. How do they even do that?
That it sounds incredible, doesn't it? But yes, the research is clear. Certain bacterial receptors can actually bind to host stress hormones, like cortisol or adrenaline.
So they physically grab onto the stress hormones.
Yeah. When these hormones are elevated due to stress calving, heat, ration changes, even social stuff, it essentially acts as an alarm bell for the bacteria.
Signaling weakened defenses here.
Pretty much. It signals a compromised host environment, an opportunity. This binding then triggers a changed bacterial behavior, often leading to increased virulence, better adherence to tissues, and enhanced biofilm formation.
So yes, your cow's bad day can indeed be their call to arms. Wow.
That truly puts a new spin on stress management, doesn't it?
It really does. Okay, but in plain English, for the farmer listening, if we block these signals, these communication lines, The bugs are still there, they're still present, but they can't get their act together to cause disease.
That's the idea.
They can't coordinate their defenses or their attack. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. You've got it. They're like an army without a general or a sports team without a coach calling plays.
Okay, the individual players are there.
But without the coordinated strategy, they're much less effective, much less virulent, and much more vulnerable.
So the cow's own immune system gets a chance.
A much, much better chance of clearing them out naturally, or at least keeping them suppressed to subclinical levels.
Right.
This electronic warfare approach truly represents a paradigm shift from conventional antibiotic use. It offers a targeted intervention that lets the cow's natural defenses take over once the bacterial communication is disrupted.
It's a fundamental rethinking of how we fight these infections, moving from pure eradication, which often fails anyway,
to strategic disruption.
That's a concept that really hits home. Now, all this science sounds compelling, but for the dairy farmer, the real question always comes down to the bottom line.
Always the bottom line.
Let's talk about the money, because that's where the rubber meets the road for every dairy operation. You mentioned those high costs earlier.
Billions globally, thousands per farm.
Let's really break down what mastitis actually costs per cow, per hundredweight, when you factor in everything.
This is absolutely critical, Jake, because the upfront cost of a treatment tube is just the tip of the iceberg, and we all know that.
Just the start.
Michigan State's recent analysis really shines a light on this. They found clinical mastitis cases range from, say, $120 to $330 per case, just for the basics.
Okay, that sounds familiar.
But here's the kicker, the part that most farmers maybe don't fully calculate. When you factor in all the hidden expenses, those costs can shoot up to a staggering $586 per case.
$586 for one mastitis case. Break that down for me. What are those hidden costs specifically? Because I'm not buying that it's just about the cost of the tube.
You're right to question that, because it's precisely where the real money is lost. That $586 includes the initial drug costs, sure.
Okay.
But it also accounts for the veterinary call and diagnosis, if needed. More significantly, it factors in the lost milk due to withdrawal periods.
Which can be huge. Days of lost production.
Easily hundreds of dollars per cow when you calculate X gallons per day at Y dollars per hundredweight for several days, sometimes longer.
Right.
Then there's the significant labor cost. The time you spend separating cows, treating them, moving them, monitoring them, that's often several hours per case at your farm's labor rate.
Time you could be spending elsewhere.
Plus, there's the reduced production even after the cow returns to the milk straying, the potential for future fertility issues, and, tragically, the increased risk of culling that animal prematurely.
So it's not just the first treatment. The real money drain, as you pointed out, comes from those repeat customers, the chronics.
Exactly. Every time that same cow cycles back through the hospital pen, it's not just another treatment cost, it's more lost milk, more labor hours.
And those higher odds that she's going to get culled before she ever really pays for herself over her productive lifetime, it's a compounding interest problem, but in reverse, a loss that keeps compounding.
Exactly. And this is where QSI protocols introduce a truly surprising finding.
Okay.
They can actually achieve initial cost parity with traditional antibiotics. The numbers pencil out around $135 per case for QSI versus $134 for antibiotics in some studies.
Wait, so the upfront cost is basically the same, $135 versus $134.
On paper, at first glance, the initial cost looks remarkably similar, yes. But the dramatically better outcomes fundamentally change the economic picture entirely.
How so? If the cost is the same.
It's not about the cost of the tube. It's about the total cost of ownership for that mastitis case over the cow's lifetime. Fewer repeats, faster recovery, less culling.
Ah, okay. So while the initial sticker price might be the same, the long-term savings are where this really shines. What kind of long-term economic benefits are we actually talking about here?
It's absolutely transformative, according to some studies. Think about this. A large-scale independent study in the Netherlands.
Okay.
They tracked over 64,000 animals, and what they found was astounding. Cows on QSI protocols lived an average of 8.5 months longer than control animals.
8.5 months longer.
8.5 months. Average longer productive life.
That is serious money when you figure in today's heifer replacement costs.
Huge money.
Yeah.
You're not just saving on individual treatments, you're extending her productive life, potentially getting an entire extra lactation cycle out of that animal.
Delaying significant replacement expenses.
And getting more milk and more calves from your initial investment.
8.5 months longer. In today's market, with replacement heifers costing upwards of $2,000, maybe more.
Easily.
That's not just serious money, that's a direct hit to the bottom line avoided. That's hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per cow in delayed replacement costs, plus all the milk she's producing during that extended lifetime.
Precisely. So when we look at the total cost of ownership for a mastitis case, a seemingly similar initial treatment cost between QSI and traditional antibiotics can lead to vastly different profits for your operation.
Because you get fewer repeats and keep the cows longer.
Exactly. It's not just about animal welfare, though that's hugely important and cows are happier. It's about longevity, increased productivity, reduced culling rates, and ultimately the long-term financial health and sustainability of the dairy.
You save on replacements, you save on chronic labor, you save on the constant cycle of managing sick animals, and you get more milk for longer. It truly sounds like a profit driver.
That's compelling. But this can't just be theory. We need to see this working in the real world. What are you seeing in terms of proof in the parlor? Are farmers actually getting these results?
Absolutely. This isn't just lab coats and petri dishes. We're seeing real-world proof in the parlor right now.
Okay.
A company called AHV International, for instance, has been developing these plant-based QSI compounds.
Plant-based. Interesting.
Yeah, and importantly, they've had their products independently tested by RTI, LLC. That's a reputable lab in South Dakota that specializes in animal health research.
So not just the company's own internal tests.
No, an objective third party, and crucially, they used bacteria directly isolated from mastic cows on commercial dairies.
Ah, so real-world bugs.
Not just some generic lab strains that have never seen the inside of a cow or the challenges of a real dairy farm.
So these aren't just pretty numbers from a petri dish. These are based on actual farm conditions.
Yeah. Right. The independent testing showed that AHV's quorum sensing inhibitors successfully prevented biofilm formation and disrupted communication across both gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria isolated directly from field conditions.
Gram-positive and gram-negative. So broad-spectrum activity against communication.
Exactly. That's a strong indicator of their broad applicability and effectiveness against the very bugs we're fighting every day.
And the proof is really in the results producers are actually seeing on their operations. Let's talk about Trevor Nutcher in California.
Okay, big dairy state.
He runs 2,000 Holsteins and made the switch from traditional intramammary antibiotics to AHV's QSI protocols.
From antibiotics to QSI, what happened?
His hospitalization days per case dropped from 7 days down to 2.5 days.
Hold on. 7 days down to 2.5.
Yeah, 7 down to 2.5.
That's Q2GE. Just for labor alone, think about that. The time saved moving cows, treating them multiple times, the bedding, the feed for a sick cow.
Right.
And then the cow getting back into full production quicker, that alone can make a substantial difference to daily farm operations, let alone the cow's welfare.
Exactly. And when Trevor ran a full cost analysis, including all that lost milk, labor, and potential culling risk,
the total cost,
the QSI approach came out to $135 per case versus $134 for antibiotics.
So cost neutral again on the surface.
Essentially cost neutral initially, but with way better outcomes in terms of cow health, reduced stress on the animal, and overall productivity.
He's seeing fewer repeat offenders, cows recovering faster.
That's what he reports. Ultimately, a healthier, more productive herd.
That's a pretty compelling story. What about another example? Are these results consistent across different types of operations or just large California dairies?
Good question. Then there's Dave Decker up in Denmark. Different system, different climate.
Okay, Denmark. What was his situation?
He was battling a herd somatic cell count of 375,000 cells ml.
Oof, that's high. A major problem indicating widespread subclinical mastitis and ongoing infections.
Big time. After implementing QSI protocols, he saw that cell count plummet to 70,000 cells ml.
375,000 down to 70,000. Wow.
And reported over 80% treatment profitability.
80% treatment profitability. That's transformative for milk quality premiums alone.
Absolutely.
Beyond that, it means fewer clinical cases, healthier udders, and overall better herd health. 80% treatment profitability tells you everything you need to know about the economic impact. These aren't just incremental gains. These are massive shifts.
Definitely.
But what about a smaller farm? Would these numbers scale the same way? My listener with 80 cows might look at a 2,000-head dairy or a farm in Denmark and think, that's not my world.
That's a fair question, and it's something we always have to consider. While a smaller farm might look at the scale of these operations and wonder if the numbers would scale the same way, the principle of disrupting bacterial communication is universal. The biology is the same. And in fact, the operational benefits often scale very efficiently, even on smaller operations. Perhaps even more so when individual cow management is paramount.
How so?
Well, the proportional savings in labor and discarded milk are just as impactful for a smaller farm, if not more so, because every single cow counts more towards the bottom line.
True. Losing one cow's milk for a week hurts more when you only have 80.
Exactly. Reducing hospital pen days from 7 to 2.5 for one cow on a small farm is just as significant, proportionally, as it is on a large one. Maybe even more felt day to day.
That makes sense. Every cow is a major investment, and keeping her healthy and productive is key, regardless of herd size.
Exactly. These are not isolated incidents, but patterns emerging from diverse operations. Large, small, different geographies, suggesting broad applicability.
So it's not a niche thing.
Doesn't seem to be. It's not a magic bullet for every single scenario, obviously, but it clearly offers a powerful tool for a significant portion of mastitis cases, especially those chronic ones that are currently resistant to traditional approaches.
Okay. Let's shift gears and talk about the unseen operational advantages and the regulatory tides that are pushing the entire industry in this direction.
Yeah, this is important context.
Because this isn't just about better cows, it's about navigating a changing landscape. For me, one of the biggest takeaways from this is the zero withdrawal period.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest operational advantage producers are seeing with QSI products, right?
Absolutely. For any dairy farmer, the zero withdrawal period is a massive relief, both financially and psychologically.
Oh, yeah.
Anyone who's been around this business for more than 5 minutes knows the gut punch of accidentally dumping treated milk in the bulk tank.
Oh, the horror stories. That's a 5-figure mistake on most operations, $10,000 or more in one fell swoop.
Wipes out a month's profit, maybe more. With zero withdrawal products, that catastrophic risk simply disappears entirely.
It's not just about compliance, it's about peace of mind and protecting your entire revenue stream.
You're not kidding. That mistake is a nightmare scenario. And it's not just about avoiding disaster. Think about the simplification of daily protocols in the parlor.
Tell me about it. No more marked legs, separate buckets, special milking order.
You're not constantly juggling which cows can be milked where, marking legs with tape or paint, checking charts, double-checking parlor crews.
Treated cows can stay in the string, and their milk keeps flowing to the tank. That's an incredible efficiency gain.
Reduces stress for management and staff alike. Less chance for error.
It truly is. It streamlines the entire milking process, reduces human error, and keeps your milk flowing consistently.
But this isn't just about making daily life easier or preventing costly mistakes.
No, it's bigger than that.
It's about staying ahead of the game. The regulatory environment around antibiotic use in livestock is tightening rapidly across the globe.
Absolutely. The writing is on the wall, and it's getting clearer every year. The EU, for example.
What do they do?
They banned routine prophylactic antibiotic use entirely back in January 2022. You can't just treat groups preventatively anymore.
Wow. Entirely.
And closer to home, the FDA made all medically important antimicrobials prescription, only as of June 2023. Vet oversight required for everything.
Right, the VFD changes and now this. These aren't just minor adjustments. These are hard changes that are already impacting how we operate.
They mean more paperwork, more veterinary oversight, and a much more restrictive approach to antibiotic use overall.
Precisely. And it's not just government regulations that are tightening the screws. Consumer pressure is building, too.
You see it everywhere. Antibiotic-free labels.
More and more processors are offering premiums for antibiotic-free milk, and some are even starting to require it as a condition of supply.
Consumers are increasingly discerning about where their food comes from and how animals are treated, and antibiotic-free is a significant selling point in the marketplace. Whether we like it or not, that's the trend.
So these regulatory and consumer trends aren't just external pressures we have to grudgingly comply with.
No, they're actually massive opportunities if you look at it right.
How so?
Farms embracing these alternative approaches now, like QSI, are building a crucial competitive advantage for 2026 and beyond.
When compliance is going to become even more critical.
And the market for traditional milk, or milk produced with more antibiotics, may well shrink or demand a lower price point.
It's about being proactive, not reactive, and future-proofing your business.
That's it exactly. It's forward-thinking business strategy. Instead of seeing these changes as hurdles, forward-thinking producers are recognizing them as a chance to differentiate their operations, improve animal welfare, and ultimately secure a stronger position in the market.
So for a producer listening right now thinking, this sounds promising but wondering where to start, Where do they begin? What's the strategic application?
Yeah, how do you actually get it implemented on the farm? Based on what you've seen from early adopters, where should they focus first with this new approach?
Good question. Based on the field results and expert recommendations, the first area to focus on should be those perennial problem cows, the repeat offenders.
Makes sense. Go after the biggest headaches first.
You know the ones, the cows with chronic high SCC that keep cycling through the hospital pen despite multiple rounds of traditional antibiotic treatments.
The ones costing you the most money and time.
These are the ones where biofilms are almost certainly the underlying issue, and QSI has the best chance of disrupting that cycle and finally breaking the pattern.
Okay, target the chronics. What's next?
Then you should definitely consider fresh cow protocols. This is a critical period because the cow's immune system is naturally compromised after calving.
Right, huge stress period.
And stress hormones are at their highest. Remember how E. coli actually reads those stress signals as a green light to attack?
Yeah, that was mind-blowing.
QSI during this period can disarm the bacteria when the cow is most vulnerable, helping her immune system cope more effectively during this high-risk transition.
That's a powerful connection. If bacteria are literally listening to your cow's stress levels, then proactively targeting that period is like hitting them when they're most likely to launch an offensive. It's strategic defense.
Exactly. The article also highlights the dry-off period as another excellent application for QSI.
Dry off too. How does it help there?
Operations are reporting better transitions, fewer issues leading into the next lactation, and significantly less udder engorgement compared to traditional dry cow therapy methods.
Less swelling, fewer problems at calving.
It's a proactive strategy to set the cow up for success for her entire next lactation, not just cure something from the last one.
And this is where the veterinary perspective really shifts, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Because the conversation moves from, okay, what antibiotic should we use for this particular bug, to how do we prevent these bugs from ever getting organized in the first place?
That's the paradigm shift.
So how does this change my vet's role and my relationship with my vet?
It's a fundamental shift in the veterinary relationship. It transforms it from a reactive firefighting treatment model to a proactive strategic partnership focused on prevention.
More strategy, less emergency response.
Exactly. This new approach means looking at every aspect of your operation differently. Calving protocols, heat abatement strategies, ration transitions, even social grouping of cows.
All the things that cause stress.
All of these become direct disease prevention strategies if bacteria are using our cows' stress hormones as attack signals.
So rigorous stress management is no longer just good husbandry.
It's a direct, measurable disease prevention tool that complements QSI perfectly. Your vet becomes less of an emergency responder and more of a herd health strategist, looking at the whole picture.
That's the bottom line for 2025, isn't it? We're not suggesting anyone throw out all their antibiotic protocols tomorrow.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Antibiotics still have a crucial place, especially for acute, life-threatening infections where a rapid kill is necessary. You need them sometimes.
But we have to face reality. When 45% of New York dairy farmers surveyed in 2022 weren't even sure if antibiotic use on their farms could create resistance problems.
45%, that's almost half.
It highlights a massive need for increased awareness and adaptation across the industry.
That statistic is a wake-up call. It shows that many in the industry are still operating on outdated assumptions, maybe.
Seems like it. The science behind quorum sensing is solid. The field results from operations using these protocols are incredibly promising.
And the regulatory environment is clearly pushing the industry toward alternatives, whether producers like it or not.
The train is leaving the station.
So if you have chronic repeat cases that aren't responding to traditional treatments, or if you're looking for ways to streamline your protocols and eliminate those risky withdrawal periods.
This is absolutely worth a serious conversation with your herd veterinarian.
And it's crucial to work closely with a vet who understands both this emerging technology and your specific operation.
Yeah, that's key, because as much as we talk about these broad trends, every dairy is different, right?
Absolutely. What works perfectly on a 2,000-cow California freestall might need some adjusting for a 200-cow tie stall in Wisconsin.
The principle of disrupting bacterial communication is the same, but the application needs to be tailored to your farm, your cows, your management.
All right, let's bring it home. Farmer just finished morning milking. They're driving to the feed store. What are the 3 things they need to know from this discussion? What are the actionable insights they can implement?
Okay, let's distill this down to actionable insights you can implement right away, in the medium term and for your long-term strategy.
For immediate action, something they can do this week, what is it?
This week, identify your chronic repeat mastitis offenders. You know the cows, the ones that keep popping up despite antibiotics, the ones that drain your resources and your patience.
Get the records out. Circle the names.
Pull out those treatment records. Know who your problem children are.
And specifically, talk to your vet about why those treatments aren't sticking. Don't just ask for another antibiotic.
Right. Ask them about biofilms, ask about quorum sensing, see if they're up to speed on these alternative approaches or willing to look into them.
That conversation itself is a critical first step towards a new management strategy. Maybe they have experience, maybe they don't, but start the dialogue.
Exactly. For a medium-term strategy, say over the next 3 to 6 months,
Okay, what's the plan?
you should evaluate integrating QSI into your fresh cow and dry-off protocols.
The high-stress periods.
This is where you can proactively target those critical stress periods we discuss, disarming the bacteria before they can even get organized and launch an attack when the cow is most vulnerable.
And importantly, combine that with a renewed focus on stress management across your herd.
Absolutely critical, from calving protocols and pen moves to heat abatement and even proper ventilation and stocking density.
If bacteria are truly using stress as an attack signal, then proactively reducing that stress is a direct disease prevention strategy that complements QSI perfectly.
It's not just about cow comfort anymore. It's about strategic defense against infection.
And finally, for your long-term positioning, over the next 1 to 2 years, what's the big picture goal?
You need to strategically position your operation to thrive in an increasingly antibiotic-restricted world. Prioritize health management strategies that offer zero withdrawal periods and reduce your reliance on traditional antibiotics where it makes sense.
This isn't just about compliance with future regulations, though that's part of it.
No, it's about building a competitive advantage. It's about improving animal longevity by that 8.5 months we discussed, reducing your culling rate.
And eliminating major operational risks like accidentally dumping treated milk. That alone is huge.
It's smart business, good animal welfare, and a forward-thinking approach for 2026 and beyond.
Prepare now. This has been another deep dive from the Bovine Podcast. If this kind of analysis helps your operation, head to www.thebovine.com for more articles that tell you what's really happening in dairy.
And seriously, subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And trust me, you don't want to miss what we've got coming next week about the surprising truth behind rising feed costs and how farmers are actually turning it into profit.
The bacteria have been talking to each other and strategizing all along. Maybe it's time the industry learned how to jam their conversation and truly change the game for mastitis management.